Hi, Mark here from the Tangent Bound Podcast Network and host of the flagship show, the Tangent Bound Podcast. Did you know that we over at Tangent Bound are always looking for amazing podcasts to promote? And did you also know that we are also proud nerds and geeks of everything from movies, music, gaming, TV shows, and comic books to wrestling, MMA, soccer, and football? Whatever you can nerd or geek out about, we've got it. And if you're interested, we can help you find it. And if you're a show looking for a place to call home, we've got you covered. Side effects may include upset stomach, dizziness, tumors, shakes, and in some rare cases, death from excessive laughter. Though to be fair, it's only sometimes. Other side effects may include diarrhea, gallstones, heart palpitations, and strong desire for cookies on the dark side. Talk to your doctor and visit TangentBoundNetwork.com and see if Tangent Bound Network is right for you.
Sucks to the last drop. Are you gonna blow your head off? Take good aim and don't forget to duck. Life sucks every Monday and all the way to Sunday, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't care how you're doing, what's up or how's it hanging. I'd like to buy this world one last drink. Life sucks all of the time. Stick it up your sunshine, and then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day.
We're not doctors, therapists, trained professionals of any kind, so if you feel you do need help, please reach out and get the help you need. We have a whole list of things on our files page over on Facebook at facebook.com/crazylifepodcast, and or just search on the internet for the suicide prevention hotline number, or go to NAMI.org or whatever resource you can find. But just please reach out for help if you need it. If you feel as though you're going to harm yourself or others, definitely reach out. And try not to be alone. Also, if you feel that way and you realize that you're writing a note or making plans of how you would do, like harm yourself or others, definitely reach out. That's a huge red flag. And lastly, please do not replace the idea of therapy with listening to this show. Again, if you need help, please reach out and get the help that you need, or contact us. We can try to help you find the help that you need.
Welcome to the Crazy Life, everyone. My name's Jen. I am your hostess for the evening, and with me, as always, my co-host Henno and Brian. Hey, guys.
She says with you, like she was here or something last week. It's Shaw.
Well, nobody was here last week. Sorry about that, folks.
No, that is not correct, ma'am.
That is not correct.
Henno and I had a brutal head pains, and I was still did not miss a show.
You guys did not tell me you recorded.
And I had some lame excuse I was going to use to get out of it, but didn't.
Because I
remember what the lame excuse was.
He knew I was going to shame him.
That's what it was. Yeah. Because he knew what I did the night before.
Yep.
Nice.
Nice. Too funny.
Yeah.
Well, I do have a good excuse. I for the record, folks, I worked 73 hours last week, so I was a little busy.
Not bad.
Not bad.
I know. I was like,
yeah, right.
Oof. Yeah.
The tax man is going to be coming knocking on my door. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Because once you hit over, just as a little known fact that I wish I did not have to know this, but once you 64 to 65 hours of work, usually that kicks you into another tax bracket for that paycheck, and you take out taxes. Yay. So you don't. Not that
it works out in the end.
Yeah, not that anyone wants to hit 60 to 65 hours a week, but if you hit that and go over it, it's a little bit of a pain in the tuchus.
Thanks for paying for my health care, Jen.
You're welcome.
Tea. Oh.
It was my pleasure.
Yep. Yeah.
But, well, I guess I will start then, hence the rules.
Yeah.
She got the hint too.
Yeah. She was hoping that, since she didn't think there was a show last week, she's like, cool, I won't have to go first.
Failed.
Wrong.
Wrong.
Yep.
No. So, I did not have a whole lot of inventive things happen over the last week because I was at work every night. But yeah, I am actually just having an absolute blast on Twitter. I am officially a Twitter addict. So
Sweet.
I am on all the time and way more than I should be. Yeah. But, yeah, I'm having a blast talking to people, getting to know people, and just enjoying being social within the confines of my own home.
Yeah.
So, be it good, be it bad, I can't really say. Because we talked about social media on here a few different times. And the beauty of social media is it gives that outlet to people who don't either have the ability to have the social experience, whether it's you live in the country or you're too far away or, whatever it is, or, something prevents you from leaving the house, whatever it may be. Social media is a great platform to meet people and to socialize and have that interaction. On the flip side, it is enabler in its own way. It does enable you to have social interaction without actually having to put the effort of going outside of your comfort zone, which sometimes we all need to be pushed outside our comfort zone. At least I know I do.
Yeah.
So, it's that whole double-edged sword thing happening. But nonetheless, I'm really enjoying myself. And work's been going fairly well. It's pretty stabilized at the moment. There's still, a few different opportunities on the horizon for me. So hopefully one of those kind of comes through because I'm ready to be off the nights. But we'll see. So nothing too earth-shattering.
Well, yeah, like you said, I mean, when you work 73 hours, what else is there time for other than
what else is there
3 or 4 hours of sleep? Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Not to mention the time, you're pretty much brain dead the rest of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, jeez.
Yeah, it was brutal. And my manager, when he signed my hours for the week, he looked at me, he's like, what the heck? And I'm like, I know, dude. I said, you saw me here every single night. He's like, I know. I'm like, you guys scheduled it. What the hell do you think was going to happen? It's like, you scheduled me. You have to pay me now.
Yep.
This is
how it works.
So, but with that, guess that's all I have for my week. Oh, what about you guys? Who wants to go next?
Oh, I will. Let's see. I wish I could come to you listeners with great deeds of my financial restraint. However, as I shared with my co-podcasters before we started, if I didn't buy it at that price, somebody else would.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not very proud of that one. I didn't even use my old buddy Neil, my bounce the idea off. The guy that's going to tell me, no, you don't need it. Didn't even hesitate. Click.
Yeah. Well, that's why. I mean, it's it's like the kids who don't want to ask mom or dad because they know the answer. You call up Neil and Neil's like, hey, no, probably not. He'd be like, dude, that's a good price. You should probably get that.
The reality is because earlier today, it's something, there's some things for the studio I've been kind of jonesing over lately. And it's I'm not even recording.
Hold on. I totally understand.
2 hands right now.
I totally understand because I was on, I saw this amazing, drawing of a chameleon today. And oddly enough, the markers or whatever that the person used they're called Chameleon. And it's a company I had not heard of. So I was on their website going, ooh, looking at these things that I don't need because I'm not drawing. So I certainly don't need more art tools. So yeah, I get you.
My audition went well last week though. And, I am returning this Thursday to play some more music with the fellas.
Cool.
And it was, it's actually a really good, for me, it was a good benchmark of where I am with myself as far as, just my comfort level with me, because I literally didn't know any of the music. I didn't have time to learn it, but it was like, I'm going to go in there and just be in the moment and do the best I can. And I really realized it's all the songs in the world don't matter if the drummer doesn't like me. That's it.
That's fair. Yep.
That's really what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it really, that's the thing. That's the rhythm section. And so, but it was pretty fun night. And, since then over the weekend, I've just been like, I've really, it's just such my nature. It's like, if I have a project, I'm in it. If I don't, I am lazy. So it's been good for me. It's had me sitting down at the desk working on stuff and learning songs. And I feel more productive as a human, and that's good for me. It's good for my just, I've noticed it actually helps me even at my work. Like like we always talk about, it's like the little, it's like eating plans or working out or whatever it is. The more productive you are, as long as you're not burning yourself out, I think it seems to kind of go into the rest of life in a lot of ways, because it's an attitude thing. If you got a good attitude towards doing something, so that's been kind of that's why it's kind of like a win for this week. Like I had last week was really busy. I had something going on almost every night, and we had our there was a fundraiser for the botanical gardens here. Sharon, my wife, works for them, and so I was voluntold to be part of the event, and it was great because the reason I was there, I was there to run the AV equipment. So they had like these 4 giant screen televisions all hooked up to some rack. They were going to computer and do like a point presentation or a slideshow or something like that, and it literally started raining. And electronic equipment in rain. I mean, even though it was a tent, everything just got wet all of a sudden, and everything shut down. Power went down. And so this entire system that I had no idea anything about it, all of a sudden reset itself. And I think is that, at the time when we got there, it was kind of plug and play. But by the time the power had gone out a few times, it was no longer plug and play.
Right.
I'm like, okay, this is why I'm here, because I'm good at figuring stuff like this out somehow.
Now it went from plug and play to plug and pray. I've heard it described before.
Push buttons and pray.
Yep.
Totally, yeah. And thank goodness, because the kid that put together the slideshow was like one of the board members' sons, and he was like, I don't know, 10, 9 or 10. He knew computers. But he didn't know, AV equipment. He would have just been like, oh, what am I doing, So it was nice. We got it all working, and it was a really enjoyable evening. And, it's really the botanical gardens there. One of these things that we all drive by it on the freeway, but very few of us actually, people in the valley, very few of us actually go in to see it. And it's really amazing what they do there. It's just another one of those, we have a lot of fantastic nonprofits because there's a lot of wealth in this valley, and that's how these nonprofits survive.
Yeah.
Is with the generosity of the people that choose to make their second and third homes here.
Right.
Exactly. So yeah, it's been a pretty good week. And, Thursday I got another rehearsal, like I said, and kind of stoked about that. And 3-day weekend coming up because Labor Day. So.
Oh yeah. That's right.
Now, and rained the last couple of days, which has been great too, because we've had just smoke. Ugh.
Oh yeah.
Even though I don't really, it's not like it's here. It's like it's all around us, so it's just hazy all the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It just sucks to just not be able to see the hills even, you know, You're just like, I just like to see the, you know, and like this weekend after we were done, Sharon's like, hey, do you want to go up to the lake or something? I'm like, and what, get closer to the smoke? Because that's the lakes are in the mountains and that's where the fires are right now. So, but we had a great time. We, hi, Jax. Hey, don't bark, dude. They just went for a walk. He came bouncing in. We went for a little, we threw everyone into the convertible and drove up and had a brunch over the weekend, which was kind of nice. And except Jax figured out that he could jump from the back seat onto the back. Like, it's like, that's not good.
No.
Dog jumping out of car. Right. Probably not a good idea.
Nah.
Right?
Yeah.
So.
Jeez. Yeah.
That's about that. Yeah, exactly. That's about my week. How's your head, Brian?
Well, hold on. Before I get into that,
yeah.
What you were saying about the, that mindset carrying over and stuff. I was listening to an episode of Tim Ferriss's podcast yesterday or the day before, and he was talking about somebody with them about how they get in their workouts. Basically, when they travel, it was with a supermodel, like how she's still, because she's constantly traveling, like how do you get your workouts in, and they were talking about that. And, she's like, well, she's like, you have to make time because it's something you need to do. And he goes, yeah, he's like, it's really funny. He's like, I've found that the busiest people always make time for their workout. As he talked about Triple H, the, former wrestler now, what is he? Can't remember if he's CFO or something for WWE now. Anyway, he travels a lot with the company and all that kind of stuff, but he made a comment that, wherever he goes, the first thing he does is he gets on, the bike for a little bit to help him. And I've heard The Rock say the same thing. Whenever he gets to a new city to help with the jet lag, he gets on an exercise bike. There was another guy he talked about where if there's no gym available, the guy will take a towel from his hotel room, go out in the parking garage somewhere, find a pole or something, he can put it over and do pull-ups. And, he's like, if you want to, he's like, it's just a matter of there's no excuse if you don't want there to be, basically.
Yeah, it's true.
And you're right, that stuff does carry over because any one of them, like the guy could go to a hotel and be like, oh, there's no gym in the hotel. There's no gym real close. I'm going to take a couple days off, or he can be a maniac and go out in the garage and, start cranking out, pull-ups.
I find that to be totally true. Cause when I'm in that mindset, I'll just, even if like, I don't want to go up to the gym, I'll just do push-ups or sit-ups in my house.
Yeah. Which makes sense. It's So, my head, I think I mentioned last week that I don't remember if I mentioned it as a migraine or that I thought it was a sinus infection, but
you did.
As the week went on, I was, if it wasn't a sinus infection, it sure hurt and felt like one because it was only like up, basically like straight up my nose into next to my eye. And then a spot kind of up on my head a little bit, but it was directly above that. And, so, I started using, made sure I used the neti pot every day. And, I was taking, ibuprofen for the pain and it's feeling better today. Like it's hurt a little bit today, but not too bad. So I went in for therapy today and I was going to schedule a doctor's appointment for the sinus thing, but I was like, the last couple of days I've been feeling better, so I'm going to wait another day or two. And, if for any reason I regress, then I'll make an appointment. But otherwise, cause I've had enough of them that I know usually when I go in, they're usually just like, rinse your nose, make sure you take your decongestant for a couple days and, whatever. So, and I'm already doing that stuff. So I was like, hopefully it'll work. But yeah, like I said, it's not hurting as bad today. Today's the first day that I haven't had, basically, for the last few days, if I was on the computer, I pretty much had my left eye closed. Because it was just sensitive enough, you know? Not migraine level sensitive to where I just couldn't bear it, but just, you know, staring at the computer and I turned the brightness of my screen down and all that stuff, but it's, but yeah, like I said, feels better today, so that's pretty good, you know.
That's good.
Went into therapy and, talked with her, told her about my MRI experience. You know, cause I haven't been in there since that. And,
oh, wow.
Yeah, I kind of told her about, you know, some ups and downs, you know, I've mentioned about how, you know, I was, optimistic after going, you know, about getting the testosterone shot. And then I kind of was like, wow, I don't really feel anything. And I kind of was like, man, you know, and I felt myself immediately going into that, why does everything bad happen to me? You know, mentality, you know, it was oh, great. Let me guess. This isn't going to work for me either, you know, kind of a thing. And I caught myself and was like, you know, I looked up online and I saw that, actually for the first shot, I'm pretty much hitting what's normal. Is you usually have a little more energy, but nothing crazy. You don't notice a lot, and then it builds over time.
Okay.
So, I was like, oh, okay. So boom, all of a sudden now I'm back to, you know, I just had that quick hiccup of woe is me. But then once you know, which is why I like the way I do things. When I'm unsure of something, I will get on the internet and I will look for answers, you know, and not in a confirmation bias kind of way, you know, like I'm going to just find what lines up with me. But at least by reading that and going, oh, this can be normal, you know, that now I feel better. You know, I at least feel like it wasn't a waste of time. And I still feel like there's hope that it can build, you know. You know, now a month down the road, if I'm still feeling nothing, then yeah, it's probably not really doing a whole lot for me, but we'll see. So I actually go back Thursday for the follow-up. So next show, I'll be able to talk about, you know, what the next step is. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So
cool.
It's really been a fairly uneventful week. But, you know, because of the sinus thing, you know, it just, those suck. You just don't want to go do anything. Plus going outside, it's been humid here and then it wasn't. And, you know, of course, right as I get this sinus thing, the weather gets goofy here again, you know, to where it was hot. Then it wasn't really hot, but it was still stupid humid. Then it cooled off completely. And now today it was 90 again, you know, so, and in a couple days, I think it's only supposed to be like 70 something, you know.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
There's no fooling that.
Yeah. Typical.
We had that happen here where it literally went from 90 to 70.
Yeah. It's typical for here.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's the way it always is here. So, you know, whatever. But, yeah. So, like I said, I haven't really done a whole lot otherwise because I just really haven't felt like it. So.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Although I got to say one thing that, you know how there's just some things that when you hear people say it, it just, you just have that like internal rage meter that just like goes off the chart.
Yes, that happened to me yesterday.
Well,
I understand completely.
And I find most of the time it's over something really dumb, but it's just like, you know, anytime I see somebody put their shopping cart next to the cart corral instead of putting it in it, you know, or they'll leave it like one parking space away. Those kind of things, I'm just like, usually I'm vocal. Like a couple days ago at the store, I yelled at a guy because he did that. Not yelled at him, but I was like, dude. And he was like, well, you know, it's like, come on. I am so tired of hearing people say, I heard 2 women at the doctor's office today talk about how fall is in the air. It was 90 degrees here today.
Yeah.
It's going to be 92 tomorrow. Like, come on. Also, learn to read a calendar. It's not fall until
Not even
into
close.
for another almost full month. So anyway, I actually
starts getting a chill in the air at night.
Yeah.
People always there.
Yeah.
it's just it goes back to like with the Groundhog's Day thing when people are like, oh, 6 more weeks of winter. It's like, yeah, look at a calendar. You don't need the stupid groundhog. You can look at a calendar and go, oh, we have X amount more weeks because that's how calendars work. I posted on the Salty Language Twitter, about that bugging me, and I decided that occasionally I'm going to post stuff like that on there, and I put the hashtag of old man rants because that's what Tony and I do on that show. Whenever we do something that's a get off my lawn kind of comment, it's old man rant time. So,
nice.
yeah. All right. So that's all I got. Now, I didn't say anything to the women today. I didn't yell at them or anything like that. I just so everyone knows, generally I keep that in or only complain to those that are close to me.
Nice. Well, today's article, I think, Hanno, you have it, don't you?
I do.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So what are we talking about today?
These are the 10 relationship saving tips for saying no. But it's more than just relationships. I think it's just general 10 tips for a way to say no to people, to do it the right way, and to maybe ease some of what can be jarring to some people.
Yeah, and a real source of anxiety for a lot of people.
Anxiety, I was going to say. Yep.
Because of codependency and such, you being a people pleaser, you don't want to say no because, yeah.
I say no very easily. It's tough for me. I'll own it.
Yep. It was one of my hardest things. That's why me saying yes too much got me way too spread out, way too thin.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, I just remember the first time I had somebody ask me if I could help out with something that was completely in my wheelhouse. And I just said, no, I really just don't have the time or the desire to do that. And their reaction is like, okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, wow, that felt really good.
Right? Yep.
So this is from...
I've gotten to where also that when you say no, I've had people say why. And I've even gotten now to where at times I'll be like, because I said no. Like, that's all I owe you. You asked me for, do you want to do this? I said no, I don't owe you any more than that. That's, if I want to say why, that's one thing. But if I just say no, that needs to be enough. No is enough, And I want more people to accept no as an answer. And I know probably all of us are terrible at it because we're curious why,
Well, sure, because a lot of times when I ask why, I'm asking to see if there's an adjustment I can make to the plans to make it more agreeable.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I'm asking you why you're saying no, usually that's the reason. It's like, oh, is there an easy adjustment I can make to make this happen? Or is this something that's like a flat no that you have no interest whatsoever?
Usually it's because people, they take it personally, and that's why they want the answer. Or they want you to give them something so that they can, that way you'll still go, It's people don't realize.
They want to negotiate.
Yeah, I was going to say people don't realize that forcing someone else to explain themselves like that, it's a control thing.
Yeah.
If I say no, you should just accept it. We're both adults. You asked me, I said no. Most of the time, if I say no, I'll also say thank you or something like that, and that should be enough.
Or you just whip out the Godfather. My no is final. I wish you luck in your good endeavors.
It would be great if every time...
But your line of work is a little bit dangerous.
It'd be great every time you say no to somebody, you just go through that.
You just do the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Signor Salazzo, my no is final.
Like, who? That's not my name.
Yeah, that's it. What's that?
Yeah. Who's that?
Exactly. do the whole thing. All right, from our Psychology Today article, saying no isn't always easy. This part, I don't want to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. It can be particularly hard for women because we may fear provoking the disapproval of others or rocking the boat in an important relationship. This is written by a woman, by the way. However, I think it can be difficult for anyone. In the short run, saying no may indeed the harmony of the relationship, but in the long run, we can say no in a way that will strengthen both ourselves and our important bonds. What counts is how we put our foot down, and here are some suggestions. 1, if you are feeling even slightly uncertain about an issue, don't give an immediate yes or no. No matter how much pressure you feel, you can always say, I need a little time to think about it. I'll get back to you on Monday. And this is something that we talk about in customer service related at work, is if somebody asks something and you don't know the question about it, it is better to say, let me look into that a little bit and I'll get back to you with an answer and give them a certain a period of time, which is also respectful. Mm-hmm. I think the same thing applies to relationships too. We can, when confronted with something, a difficult choice, there's nothing wrong with saying, can I have a couple days? Now, that might make the other person really uncomfortable, but I think if you're giving at least a time frame, you're being respectful.
Yeah, and I think you're right. That last part, it's the key of that. If you're just like, I need to think about it, and that's the end of it, and they're kind of like 3 days later, they're like, so have you thought about it? Like that can lead into fighting and whatever. So yeah, you're right.
Clear time frames is very, very important in that case.
Yep. Tip number 2, think carefully about whether you are truly comfortable saying no. What is right for your coworker or best friend may not be right for you. Perhaps you are not ready to say no in a particular situation, and that's okay. I was kind of trying to figure out how that applies.
How to say no but not say no? It seems a little odd.
No,
but that's okay.
It's just if you don't feel like saying no, don't say no. I mean, that's okay. Cool. I don't. Yeah.
Just avoid it.
Yeah. Well, I guess overall, if this is about just tips on just when to say no, how to say no, whatever, it makes sense because it's like if it doesn't make sense for you to say no, don't basically. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't understand this one as well. I mean, I understand it. I just don't see why it's as relevant. But it's accurate. If you don't feel like saying no, don't be coaxed into saying no because your coworkers or whoever else says no.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, that kind of hits to the whole kind of peer pressure or kind of a deal. Kind of it's almost like a fear of missing out kind of a thing. I have to do what everyone else does or something like that.
Yeah. No, you
okay.
don't.
And I think that's also a gauge of where you are in your own self-confidence.
Yes.
If you're not quite ready to be that person, then honor that.
Yeah.
Let's see. This is a great one. Number 3, when you do say no, make sure that all your explanations are about you. I am not able to take on anything else at this time is different than you're really putting a lot of pressure on me.
Yes.
And that's a great point. And so you make it about you and not the other person, and you avoid criticism and advice giving.
This is just good advice all around. Like
true.
You've seen it, like you've seen like TV shows where they'll do like they'll talk about like therapy like that, like for a couple, where one immediately starts criticizing and they're like, hold on, like tell them how it makes you feel, like keep saying I feel this way, this makes me this, that way, like it says, you're not accusing, because when you accuse or use an accusatory tone, you immediately put someone on the defensive. Even if they don't mean to be, it's hard not to be because you feel criticized. So you feel a need to defend yourself, and that doesn't help a communication process.
Well, and this is why anytime in any sort of exchange, it's always best to talk about your own thoughts and feelings, because nobody can criticize your feelings. It's just and there's no better way to just kill a conversation real quick is if you express your feelings and that person critiques them and say, oh, really? You think I shouldn't feel something?
Yeah.
Huh. How does that work?
Yeah.
How's that change? You know, that like pretty much you can turn it around on them real quick.
Yeah.
You know, like we had that happen at work recently, again, a customer service thing where nobody, you know, logically, and I think I shared this too on the show, is like this person did not feel right about a situation, and they were trying to out logic this person. And I just said, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All of your logic means nothing. This is how the person feels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's always been an issue.
You either honor it or you don't.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, and for me, it's always been a really hard thing to accept because I want things to make sense. If they don't make sense to me, my brain for the longest time just it can't rest with things that aren't logic. Yeah. You know, so it's hard for me to deal with that, and it's made me, you know, stay in arguments or create arguments that didn't need to be created or whatever, because my brain just would not accept that feelings, you know, are not logical most of the time. They are two different things, much like, you know, people talk about the brain and the gut essentially, or the heart and the brain, or what, you know, those kind of things. It's, you know, that it's just how you feel. You can't, you know, nothing wrong with that.
No, there isn't. Number 4, don't try to change the other person's reaction to your no. This kind of falls into that. If your sister is furious that you won't drive her to the airport, don't tell her that she's wrong to feel that way. Instead, try, I understand that you're angry about it, but I feel it's too much for me to take on right now.
Mm-hmm. That's one that it's both ways on that. Like I had said earlier, you know, it's like if someone tells you no, learn to accept it. You know, I mean, you can ask, you know, because I don't really think there's that much wrong, I guess, in asking. But at the same time, don't be forceful about it. If you ask and they say no, and then you ask why, and they don't really give you an answer, they don't owe you one. You know, they really don't. Unless it's something all of a sudden they've turned, you know, but even then they feel that way. So they don't owe you an explanation.
That leads us into number 5, avoid becoming defensive or providing lengthy rationalizations for your decision. Often it's enough to say, I can't take that on at this time, or, well, it may sound silly or selfish to you, but I'm just not comfortable doing that. Don't participate in arguments that go nowhere. And that's why I brought up the idea of, like, if someone says they feel a certain way, there's no argument there.
Right.
It's going to go nowhere. It's like, don't even engage.
I don't like the line of, well, it may sound silly or selfish to you. I don't like that, because that essentially is setting, first of all, it's assuming that they're minimizing you. You know?
Right.
Like, I don't, it just, stay away from that. You know, you don't need to say that.
Or minimize yourself on behalf of someone else. Don't have that.
Say what you need to say. If they say that's silly or selfish, then respond to it.
Then you can say it.
Yeah. Don't give that to them, you know?
Yeah, don't volunteer that.
Yeah.
However, a lot of people say that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Like, well, aren't you being selfish?
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, yeah, it might sound selfish to you, but I'm not comfortable.
Right. And that's why I said, you know, then that response is, you know, is fine. But if they don't react that way, like I said, it bothers me because it's distorted thinking. That's why it bothers me. You know, it's
I guess I see what you're saying.
So anyway,
my signature is the apology. I always start with the apology and then say no. That's my little signature. That I'm sorry, but I have to say no.
Yeah.
No, why am I apologizing to you?
Yeah, it's true. Yep. You don't need to.
Nope.
Yeah, I have nothing to apologize for.
Yeah, you're right.
Here I am, starting with the apology.
Yeah. Unless you are, you know, if you are sorry that you have to say no, Like you already have a prior commitment or whatever, and you're like, oh, I'm really sorry, but I'm already, like in those cases, it's not a big deal. But you're right. If you just naturally do it every time, then yeah, that's a good habit to break right there.
Yeah. Number 6 is try to stay calm and low-keyed, even if the other person reacts strongly. Intensity escalates anxiety and increases the probability of a negative outcome.
And
that's another one that's great. I have driven as much as I can get very animated and excuse me, up about a situation. The one thing, the trait that I do tend to have in arguments is I tend to get very quiet and I think, and that when the other person is not that type of, when the other person likes to react and get emotional, there's nothing that drives them more nuts than somebody that is quiet and deliberate and thoughtful.
If you've if you've ever read management books, that is a tactic they teach you to use for customers. If a customer is yelling and screaming at you, lower your voice and use an even tone with them, because they will start feeling like the thought is multiple. One, like you said, it's hard. You can't get a reaction when there's nothing to go off of. And they, at some point, may feel like a jerk because they are the only one yelling, And I've seen it work time and time and time again. So it's, and I'm not one for playing games, but this is one, really, if you stay calm, it's better for you, like it said. Otherwise, your anxiety is going to go up because now you're fighting. If you meet that energy level, now you're arguing, you're fighting, whatever. If you're just like, look, no, I said no, and they keep yelling, just be like, look, that's it. I said no. It's hard to do, I have a hard time with that because at some point, you kind of feel like they're clearly not listening to me, so I need to say it louder so that they'll hear it.
Yeah.
I'm making light of the fact that, my temper would just get the best of me. It's not that I feel they need to hear it louder. It's just,
right.
Yeah. But that is a really good.
I do this,
one.
Yeah, I do this bit on radio etiquette. And one of the things is when we use our two-way radios is speaking louder doesn't make it transmit anymore.
Right. Yeah.
It's just right.
Yeah.
And speaking louder doesn't make anyone comprehend more.
Yeah. No,
it's just true.
I remember saying that to a customer that was yelling at me one time, and he just kept raising his voice, and I was just like, "Sir, yelling at me is not going to make me want to help you." Like, it's like if you want people to help you, be kind, there's nothing wrong with being upset if you don't like an answer. Again, that's how you feel. But don't expect somebody to bend over backwards for you when you're just screaming at them. That's generally not how that's going to work. So it's, this is just a good one for everybody. And it actually, most of the time, if you're trying to get your way with like a customer service person or whatever, staying calm will get you so much further than yelling and screaming generally. Because at some point they're going to go, look, you're just being obnoxious basically, and they're not going to deal with you anymore. So, and I know it's that old, a lot of it is that people still have the, the customer's always right. Or they feel if they yell, then the company won't want them to make noise, so they'll, give them what they want. But it doesn't always work that way. And same with just anybody. Yelling at them, don't get me wrong, with some people it will work. Yelling at them will intimidate them to cave. But try really hard not to let people do that to you. That's, that's a real jerk move. Although at least if they're going to be aggressive, I prefer for them to be that kind of aggressive rather than passive. So,
oh yeah,
I'd rather just get yelled at than have someone try to manipulate me into it.
Yeah. Number 7 is steer clear of blaming others for your choices and behaviors. And the example they use is, my father is so impossible that I can't say no because he'll just sulk and withdraw. So other people may indeed make it hard for you, but it is your job to separate yourself from their expectations so you can make thoughtful choices.
Speaking of passive aggressive.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's about honoring yourself and honoring your decisions and staying out of the outcomes. You know, that even though you know somebody has a tendency to do something, it doesn't change who you are and what you need for yourself.
Yeah. I mean,
and their reaction. I mean, hey, if they feel the need to sulk and pout, I mean, that's all on them. They are more than in their right to do so. And you're more in your right to say no. So, I mean, it just is.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. It was like, it's that at that point, you know, not to sound like a jerk, but that's a them problem, not a you problem. You know, you do what you feel is necessary or, you know, appropriate at the time. And if they react badly, that's on them.
Yep. You do. You boo.
Exactly. Well, and again, don't give into that, because that a lot of times that becomes a manipulation thing. You know, it's why kids will cry at times, because they're trying to, you know, get their parent to give in. And, you know, when they're crying, if the parent doesn't give in, eventually they, you know, they don't do that anymore.
Absolutely.
Number 8 is start small. If you try to change from an accommodating person to an assertive one overnight, you will probably stir up a great deal of anxiety and end up not changing at all. And that's probably a good piece of advice there, a good tip.
Yeah, I'd say so too.
Yeah, baby steps.
Right.
Can't change overnight.
Yeah, it's no different than being like, if you're some, you know, a scrawny person, you're not going to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger big overnight. You know, that's not how that works. You gotta work your way toward it. And same with this. Just start slowly by like picking your fights, picking your places where you really need and want to say no. And, you know, whether it's something like, you know, a person you normally hang out with always wants you to go to a sushi place and you can't stand it. Make that a stand. Say no there.
Yeah.
Like, pick and choose little things to build your confidence a little bit, and then go after the big fish, you know?
Yeah. And also I think if you are the type of person that doesn't ever say no and doesn't stand up for themselves, chances are your friends or your, you know, family, they know that about you. And the minute that the first time that you actually decide to say no or to assert yourself on even a small thing, they'll probably notice it.
Yeah.
And they may even, I think it tends to, you get more respect.
Yeah. And you might get surprised too, because like I was saying, like, go back to my silly sushi place example, but it's like, oh, you usually are cool with going there, you know? And at that point you'd be like, well, actually, I don't, you know,
I don't like the food.
I don't really like, I just do it because I know you do or whatever, you know? And a lot of times people at that point, it becomes a, whoa, well, let's go somewhere else then, because most people don't want, you know, stuff like that. And there's a lot of opportunity for that. And don't get me wrong, it's perfectly, you know, just as equally likely to be, well, tough, that's where I want to go. But,
well, like your
whatever.
friend probably
not.
The former latter, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And if not, I mean, again, as we've said with different stuff we've talked about, if you do this, and again, if you know, as long as you're not being a jerk about it, you're just saying, hey, no, whatever. Sometimes that tells you what you need to know about people around you. You know,
it's true.
Just
very true.
We talked about toxic people. Was it 2 weeks ago? Last week? Whenever it was, I don't remember. So, you know, if you feel that they're toxic at that point, then reevaluate.
Yeah. And it's also a good way to, you know, because a lot of people, they don't say no because they're afraid of conflict. And they're afraid of, you know, what happens. And if you are constantly avoiding conflict, you're also avoiding conversations. You know, you're avoiding those conversations that most people have, that let's just say reasonable people can have conversations and make decisions. Yeah. Like, would you like to do this? No. Okay. Well, what else would you like to do? All right. Let's talk about it. Let's make decisions, those kind of things. And starting small is a good way to get into the practice of having conversations like that.
Yeah. Same with at work. you know? If you're one that's just constantly taking whatever's thrown at you and you're like, you know, I got to quit this, start small, start saying no to this and that. Don't start with the big stuff, you know? Start small. That way it becomes more of, you're essentially reprogramming yourself and the people around you, because then they'll go, oh, you know what? They may not want to do this, or they may not do this, rather than like Heno said, you know, odds are if they know you're a pushover, then, you know, a lot of times that's why you'll get picked for a lot of that stuff, because you're a pushover.
True.
Other people around you will be like, nah, I'm going home. And you're like, sure, I'll pick up 12 more shifts and do, you know, stay overnight and I'll clean the place.
It's like, that's your choice.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And that's the thing. Say, you know, not saying no at that, you've made your decision.
Yep.
Yep.
You know, when they called me and they said, you know, hey, so-and-so's going on vacation for 2 days and she won't be in, and then we need you to cover. So I said yes.
Yep.
So that's on me.
Yep. I used to do it too. Yep. Yep.
So number 9, I don't really understand this one, but it says, if you say no in an important relationship, try to hang in and stay in contact, even if the other person reacts negatively to your greater assertiveness. Okay, so try to hang in and stay in contact, even if the person reacts negatively to your greater assertiveness. Avoid hit and run confrontations.
Yeah.
So is that just basically saying, like, even though you've said no and that person reacts negatively and doesn't want to have anything to do with you, that you're going to try to pretend like everything is normal?
No, I think what she's getting at is more not pretend everything's normal, but don't close that door. It's like, you know, I'm saying no, you're having your reaction.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the way I saw it too, is like give an appropriate, given a chance for reaction / stay in the I can't think, the confrontation, whatever you want to call it, you know, the conflict.
Gotcha.
You know,
I think the avoid hit and run is the better example. It's you say no and then you just all of a sudden disappear.
Right. Or use Facebook to do it.
Yeah. I run away. It's like, no, say no, you have your reaction, and once your reaction is over, if you still want to continue having the conversation or the relationship or whatever, you're open to that still. Yeah. You know, you give them their space to be able to do that, but you are still there.
Yeah, because
actively present.
Well, you know, also, I mean, if you just like poke your head around the corner and you're like, "Hey, I'm not doing that," and then you just run away, you know, like you said, that's not giving them an appropriate chance to, you know, you can't compromise at that point. You can't this, and I mean, really, you know, it just shows that you're yellow. No, but no, it really is though. It's avoiding conflict is what it is. And part of this whole exercise is to not avoid that conflict.
Right.
So
to accept it and sit in it and just let it be. And
people are going to say things you're not going to like in response. Trust me, I've gone through it plenty of times in my life already, you know, from
it hurts and it sucks, but it's something you got to do.
Yep. And there you go. You know, like I said, just pick your fights. Don't, you know, don't be like every little thing I'm going to say no and hold firm, you know?
Right. Exactly.
And our last tip is be compassionate and patient with yourself. Remember that changing an old pattern is possible, but not easy. It's normal to get derailed. What matters is that you get on track again. And that's the best advice. Yep.
Yeah. That's my favorite. This is, you know, because how often it's so easy to, you know, it's like, I'm going to say no, I'm going to say no, I'm going to say no. Okay. Damn it, I didn't say no.
Yeah. Or you'll say no, but then you'll cave. Yeah. Like, I almost did it.
I almost did it. I should have stayed firm. Why didn't I stay firm? I shoulda. Well, you just gotta be compassionate with yourself. You're never gonna be able to stay firm 100% of the time. And keep in mind that the question changes. If they ask you something and you say no, and they change the question, you are entitled to a new answer.
Right. Like,
You
hey,
know?
hey, Jen, can you switch shifts with me on Friday? And you say no. Well, how about Thursday? You know, like you said, that it's not an automatic no. It's, you know.
Yeah, you're not compromising. You're not backing down from your original no.
Mhm.
You're answering a new question.
Yeah.
So it's a whole different scenario. So don't get mad if you say, you know, I'm going to say no, I'm not going to cover, I'm not going to cover, I'm not going to cover. And then you say yes, you'll cover.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times it's not the one you were originally going to say no to. So
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, if they threw in the you know, the pancakes and the whipped cream and, you know, some strawberries on top,
yeah.
that's a whole new negotiation.
It
here,
is, you're
you
right.
know.
Because the
Like-
terms changed. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'll be your friend. Oh, well, in that case.
Oh, wow. In
Yeah.
that case.
Oh, well, I'm all turned around on it now. Yeah.
Now, what if I promised to be your friend?
Yeah.
You're my friend already.
Like,
Am I?
Not if you say no here.
That's wrong.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Wrong.
Of course, yeah.
Well, I don't know, guys. What do you think? A pretty good talk.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
There's our list of 10.
List of 10. All right. Well, if we are good, then we will wrap it up. And folks, you know what to do. You want to continue the conversation? We'd love to hear from you. The top 10 that we talked about today, or if there's something else on your mind, give us a contact. Contact us. I was going to say give us a call, which wouldn't quite work. But contact us and let us know what you're thinking, what you want to talk about, what you want us to talk about, and all that good jazz. How to do that? You can reach me on Twitter at Jen's Crazy Life. That's Jen with a G, or Dits with the Tits. DITZWITDTITS. You can also reach the show at the Crazy Life Podcast. At outlook.com is our email. The Crazy Life Podcast.weebly.com is our website. And Henno, how can they reach you?
You can find me at Ida Henno on Twitter and on Facebook at Henno Heitcher.
And you, Brian, how can they reach you?
You can find me. Wow, I just realized. Sorry. I was just looking at this list of the different stuff that I usually say here. And I just realized that I've had my Twitter handle listed as Stunamia. You can find me on Twitter at Stunami. Or you can find me, the other podcast I'm on, Salty Language, at salty_language on Twitter, or at saltylanguage.com. Or, you know, wherever you get your podcast, just type in Salty Language. That show is not safe for work, and, you know, be careful with, you know, where you're listening to it without, earplugs or earbuds, I mean, earplugs. And you can listen to it with earplugs too. As long as you play it, we don't care. Download it and just run it through. That's fine. That's all we need. You can also find this show on Twitter at The Crazy Life Pod, where I post when new episodes go up. You can join us over at our group over at Facebook at facebook.com/group/Crazy Life Podcast. We're on all sorts of stuff. Google Play, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify. Pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts, you can find us. We're also part of the Tangent Bound Network, which can be found at tangentboundnetwork.com. So please go over there and check out the other shows in the network. Excuse me. If you're using Apple Podcasts, please, or if the way you get your podcast allows you to, please rate, review, or subscribe to the show if you haven't already. We would greatly appreciate it. Or if your podcast app has a like or share option, please share our show with other people, you know, or retweet our show links on Twitter, or share the Facebook posts after you go over and join our Facebook group. We would definitely appreciate it. And then if you, if you're feeling as though you may harm yourself or others, make sure you reach out. Or, if maybe not as much this show as much, but, some of the other episodes we've done, if they kind of ring out to you as something that is going on in your life and you feel you need help, please reach out. There's tons of people out there willing to help you. If you need help financially or, finding someone that fits in your budget, go to nami.org. They're great about helping people with that. Like I said, there's all sorts of help out there. If you just have to want it and reach out for it a little bit. And on the flip side of that, reach out to your friends and see how they're doing, especially the ones you haven't talked to in a while, or ones that have gone through a hardship recently, like lost a job or a relationship ended or something like that. But also make sure you reach out to the ones that always are telling you that they're fine, because, a lot of times that's a mask. You never know. You may, make their day. You may rekindle a friendship with somebody you haven't talked to in a long time, or you may save their life. Yeah.
You never know, folks.
Yeah.
So out there into the world in your own way, whatever way that may be, and spread your unique way of joy. Everybody has their unique joy, so spread yours. And I'll talk to you later.